So she decided to do a little digging.
One day I went on his website and he had this college advisory committee. There he had listed some very prominent presidents and chancellors and deans of different universities, and I was outraged because I knew this couldn't be true.
Ming.
Margie called me at work. She told me all this, and I was horrified. Working in the admissions office, I knew nobody had connection stuff. He was talking off the top of his head and bragging about these connections who were substantial people. It was very obvious to me that this guy was all hat and no cattle.
You have to realize that Rick did not belong to any associations. What he was doing was not illegal. It may have been grossly unethical. It was not illegal. There was nowhere to turn him in.
And now, Rick was ready to take his grossly unethical, but maybe technically not illegal business to the next level.
Rick Singer was gaining a reputation in the Sacramento area, but if he wanted to really up his game, Southern California was the place to be. So he moved down to LA.
In LA, Rick started snagging bigger and bigger clients. He was perfecting his game, though not everyone chose to play.
The first time Rick Singer came over to my house, he was dressed in this combination of business casual and athleisure wear. Big personality, used car salesman. I've got all the connections. I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna email. Hold on, I gotta take this call. I'm very important. My time's very important, and I'm giving it to you. And you're very special too. And you should give me a lot of money to do this. But I do think that his charm was real.
Mackin says Rick encouraged him to fabricate a story on a college essay.
I would say to myself, well, maybe that's just part of being an adult, is you have to make little compromises like this. I could see myself being talked into lying.
Mackin says that he ultimately decided not to lie. But setbacks like these did not bother Rick. He had plenty of takers. If they had the cash, Rick had the key to getting their kids into the best schools in the country.
He saw a system in place he could cheat and had the gall to just do it. I mean, it was this extraordinary scheme that he had going that probably would still be going on to this day if it weren't for some other guy getting caught in a fluke accident.
In 2018, just as Rick's business is booming, a guy he's never heard of gets picked up for a massive global securities fraud. And in order to try and save his skin, he tips the feds off to another fraud happening right here in the hallowed halls of Yale.
And what ends up coming out of his mouth is that he was paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to the Yale soccer coach to get his daughter into Yale. That coach then says, oh, what I'm doing is nothing. There's this other guy who's doing this all over the country.
At that point, the prosecutors didn't know who Singer was. They had never really heard that name before at all. So they thought, oh boy, we need to learn a little bit more.
Using this information, they get permission from the court to tap Rick Singer's phone.
Hoping to gather evidence, the FBI starts secretly listening in on Rick's calls, having no idea just how huge his college counseling con game really is.
They wiretapped a lot of the conversations that Rick Singer had with the different parents.
Many of these calls would eventually be entered into evidence. You're about to hear recreations from the Gangster Capitalism podcast of the official transcripts from the FBI wiretaps.
Look, I'm particularly interested in working with you guys and figuring out what's best for my daughter.
It's the home run of home runs.
And it works.
Every time.
But that's not even Rick's biggest boast.
So I did 761 what I would call side doors.
Oops. With the FBI listening to his every word, Rick says that he's done his super illegal side door for over 700 students. And to the feds' delight, in call after call, he lays out the entire scheme on a silver platter.
It's $75,000 to get any test scores you would like to get on the SAT or the ACT.
No one has ever gotten in trouble with this.
I've never had an issue with anybody.
So, how do I get this done with you? What do I need to do?
Admit it. These days, what you need to know seems to change, well, like every day. So what is it that you really need to know? Want to know to help you not just get through your day, but make the most of it. Feel smarter, feel better, feel happier. Well, how about a third hour of Good Morning America in the afternoon? GMA 3, what you need to know. It's all about you. Lunchtime at 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific on ABC. This is going to be so good.
Reality is where country can collapse from within.
You see the white power movement on the march. Klansmen and neo-Nazis, skinheads, it's meant to incite war.
From the KKK to Oklahoma City to Charlottesville, the new documentary is special.
We just need to start talking about race.
Homegrown hate, the war among us.
This is a real wake-up call.
Streaming now on ABC News Live.
What you're seeing right now is part of the eye wall. Set your license goes back 2 miles.
There is going to be catastrophic damage.
The fire has made a run. You can see those flames shooting up into the sky.
We are on the jam-packed red carpet.
This is the 4th weekend of protest.
Watch ABC News on location for Facebook Watch.
Your mom said, comb your hair. Your dad told you, smarten up. Your dog is judging you right now. And your best friend just called you crazy. We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. Now imagine getting your news like that. No bull, no spin, just give it to me straight. Straightforward news, straight to the heart of the story. ABC News, straightforward.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
Okay, so who we are, what we do, is we help the wealthiest families in the U.S. get their kids into school.
The wealthy parent Rick is pitching to is Gordon Kaplan, a prominent New York attorney and potential new client for his college admissions scam. Rick's offering to get Kaplan's daughter into a top college for the bargain price of $75,000.
Gordon Kaplan was the co-chair of a global law firm. He was very well known. He'd been Dealmaker of the Year. He lived in Greenwich, Connecticut with his family.
Kaplan's daughter was a good tennis player.
But in Kaplan's mind, her test scores aren't going to cut it.
He wants his daughter to get a better ACT score.
So Rick pitches Kaplan something he calls side door number 2. That's right, Rick's got 2 side doors. Side door number 1, where he sneaks fake athletes like Olivia Jade into school. And side door number 2, where he rigs students' scores on the SAT or ACT tests. Let's let Rick explain how.
We need to get your daughter tested for a learning difference. Here's why. If she gets tested for a learning difference, and let's say it's my person that does it, I need that person to get her 100% extended time over multiple days.
If they got enough extra time, they could then take the test somewhere else besides their school or their home testing center.
And I also need to tell your daughter when she gets tested to be stupid, not to be as smart as she is. The goal is to be slow.
To be honest, it feels a little weird.
I know it does. I know it does.
The fact that he's casually trying to convince this man to tell his daughter to pretend that she has a learning disability or a mental disability, it's kind of gross.
Kaplan has reservations, so Rick offers up more details. He tells Kaplan that once a student gets extended testing time, they go to a special testing site which Rick controls. That's because Rick has bribed the guy who runs the testing site, a man named Igor Dvorsky. Thanks to Rick's generosity, his client's kids, like Kaplan's daughter, get to take the test in a private room.
She will think when she's done with the test that she's taken the test. No doubt about it. she will walk out the door. At the end of it, she'll say to you, "It was so hard," or "I'm so tired," or whatever the typical reaction out of the kid.
And that's when Rick's ace test taker, Harvard grad Mark Rydell, enters the picture.
Mark will then look at all of her answers, because her answers will be put on a separate sheet of paper. And then Mark will go through the answers, and then ensure whatever score we decide that we want to get. Unbelievable that he can do it.
Rydell's illegal side hustle is earning him big bucks. Veritas, his alma mater, Harvard's Latin motto. Truth.
To be honest, I'm not worried about the moral issue here. I'm worried about if she's caught doing that, she's finished.
It's never happened for him 20 some odd years.
To think that he went out of his way to say, "I don't care about the moral," like that's like you're committing a crime, and as you're committing it, you kind of look back and say, like, "Just so you know, I'm cool doing this."
It's the home run of home runs.
And it works.
Every time.
The daughter didn't know what her dad was doing. She was in the dark about the testing scheme.
It was so funny because the kids will call me and say, "Maybe I should do it again. I did pretty well, and if I took it again, I'd do even better." They just have no idea that they didn't even get the score that they thought they got.
Right.
Even with his daughter in the dark about his plans, Kaplan is reluctant to move forward. And as smooth as Rick is, Kaplan won't commit yet. Meanwhile, the FBI continues collecting evidence for their sting, codenamed Operation Varsity Blues. And you might just recognize who they pick up on the wiretap next.
Hey, thank you so much for calling.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live, the 24/7 streaming news source, ABC News. Breaking news, live events as they happen, streaming live, non-stop, straight to you. Original, on the edge, breakthrough storytelling. From ABC News, National Geographic, ESPN, all designed differently for you to stream straight to any screen whenever you want, free. And imagine celebrating epic live events and moments, all playing out right before your eyes.
See those flames behind me?
And go deeper inside the groundbreaking exclusives from the campaign trail only ABC News gets. Watch ABC News Live right now and anytime. Streaming on Roku, Hulu, Facebook, and abcnews.com.
ABC News Live, streaming everywhere, right to you.
ABC News Live.
The Americans here on the ground and the Iraqis, 18,000 tons. Ismail? David.
Ground zero from Hurricane Michael. This was your view.
Thank you.
Yes, mornings may look different these days, but where you start your day,
Where you spend your mornings, where you get connected to everything that's happening.
And face it, there's a whole lot happening in our world these days.
where you get all the breaking new information of the day that helps you navigate through these times.